Welcome to BBC London, I'm Thomas Magill. First this lunchtime we return to a story we first told you about back in May. Leaseholders living in a block of flats that's been besieged with major problems since it was built in 2018 say life is unbearable as conditions continue to deteriorate. Residents of 53 Agar Grove spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on their dream homes that they say are now worthless. That's after an independent structural engineer found the property to be unfit for purpose. Guy Lynn has the latest.
This is supposed to be the wall of Daniel's home. And yes, it seems to move. I first visited Dan and his neighbour Alex in May. There were so many defects.
There's a hole.
Once £850,000 new builds were now valued at...
When you walk over here,
Yep.
it's actually like going down a slope. It drops.
Absolutely nothing. I'm back to check in on Dan and Alex again.
So, Alex and Dan, since we were last here, have things got in any way better for you guys?
No. In terms of our living condition, things are getting worse because the building's not been fixed yet. And in terms of our legal position, the fight's just getting more and more bitter.
So these are the kind of issues they've had to deal with since buying. You'd be forgiven for thinking their homes were built in 1918, not 2018, just 5 years ago. And no one will buy Dan and Alex's write-off flats, as it's impossible to get a mortgage on them. The construction company, by the way, is no longer trading. Their only hope for compensation at the moment is with a warranty provider, a bit like an insurance policy. But so far, in 4 years of attempted claims, the providers refuse to pay up. So they're having to fight this in court to try and get the money back. The warranty provider, Acasta Europe Limited, previously told us they take concerns seriously and were committed to fulfilling their obligations.
It's horrific, especially coming up to Christmas. We've just spent £5,000 each on solicitors' fees at a time of year when nobody really has that money to spend.
Dan and Alex's dilemma is not new. The government's recognised there's just not enough protection for buyers from serious problems with new builds. They've now hemorrhaged away thousands of pounds on legal bills, and none of it is their fault.
I can't remember a day where I felt like I used to feel before I bought this property.
I lost my sleep. I feel like I've aged massively over the last 5 years due to the stress and anxiety that we encounter every single day. I feel depressed most of the time because I just don't see the future because we live in unsafe homes, and homes is one of the basic needs for a person. If I don't cry, then I'm just anxious all the time. We are scared for our lives because we don't know about the longevity of this building. Every day we discover new and new problems.
Guy Lynn, BBC London.
Well, if you've been affected in a similar way or suffering problems with a new build and feel we should be investigating, then please do get in touch at hello@bbc.co.uk. Sadiq Khan is proposing to raise his share of London's council tax by an average of £37 a year in April. The Mayor says he has no choice because the government's refused to provide enough funding for policing, the fire brigade and Transport for London. The Conservatives candidate for Mayor, Susan Hall, accused Mr Khan of treating Londoners like a walking cash machine. Partygoers are being reminded to act smartly around water as they travel home from parties over Christmas and the New Year. It comes as figures from the Royal Life Saving Society shows that on average 73 people across the UK lose their lives each year through substance-related drowning. Meanwhile, Londoners wanting to watch this year's New Year's Eve fireworks display are being told to stay off Tower Bridge and London Bridge as neither will offer a view. Revellers have flocked to the landmarks in previous years, leaving them congested and busy. The City of London Police now say they want traffic to be free-flowing.
We want the bridges to be free-flowing, connecting the south and the north, very busy on the night, and we want the bridges to continue doing the job that they're there for. By people stopping on the bridges, stops the traffic, impedes the free flow of the public and private transport. So we want people to have a safe evening, enjoy their evening and allow the bridges to function as we want them to be.
Now for the latest in our 32 series, and many of you parents will know it can be a challenge to get children interested in certain subjects at school. One science mad graduate in Dagenham has now given up his job as a lab technician to create TikTok videos, hoping to inspire youngsters into science. So how is Emmanuel Wallace, better known as Big Manny, doing it?
Today we're going to be making elephant toothpaste. Cool, so right here I've got some hydrogen peroxide. It's going to get a little bit of washing up liquid. And then the last ingredient that we need to add is some yeast. I first got interested in science when I was age 12, when I was in year 8. I had a really enthusiastic and engaging science teacher. His name was Mr. Carter. And he passed that passion and that excitement for science onto me. What I aim to do is kind of break down the barriers between the teacher and the student, so that the student is going to connect with the content more and they're more likely to retain the information. You might see me saying like, fam, you done know, and things like that. And yeah, that's how young people talk. And I just speak to them in the same way that they talk. So yeah, it just helps to build that connection. Because the sodium lost one electron, it becomes positively charged, innit? And it then reacts with the negatively charged hydroxide ion to produce sodium. I studied at the University of East London, and I have a bachelor's degree in biomedical science, and I also have a master's degree in biomedical science as well. After I graduated, I worked as a senior science technician in a secondary school, setting up all of the experiments for the students. I started to realise that students were struggling with basic science concepts, and the reason for that was the lockdown, because during the lockdown they missed out a lot of school. So that's why I decided to make the videos to help the students catch up with what they missed out on. But at first, my mum was really shocked. Because I literally spent 4 years studying, and then I went to tell her that I'm not going to do biomedical science, actually I'm going to become a content creator. That probably wasn't the best news for her, but after a while, when she saw that I was really taking it serious and putting a lot of effort into it, she really started to encourage me, and I managed to accumulate 1.7 million followers on TikTok and 1.3 million on Instagram. Every now and again when I'm out, somebody will approach me and say, I swear you're that science guy from TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, you done know.
Inspiring stuff there from Big Manny. That takes us to the weather with Georgie Palmer.
Good afternoon. Not feeling particularly festive, is it, at the moment? It's a cloudy, damp and breezy outlook for the next few days. Having said that, this afternoon we will begin to see some drier and brighter spells. The band of heavy rain we saw earlier clearing away to the near continent. Behind it, drier with some bright spells. Quite a keen northwesterly breeze, so I think feeling cooler than those mild highs of 13 Celsius. Overnight tonight, again, a brief respite. It's going to remain clear with dry spells forming, and actually a much colder night than of recent nights, with lows down to around 2, maybe 3 Celsius, and we could see the odd patch of frost forming in more sheltered rural spots. So this means for tomorrow morning it's going to be a dry start to the day and then some glimpses of sunshine, but I'm afraid to say a short-lived affair. Not long until we see the next frontal system piling in, bringing outbreaks of light patchy rain once again. So another damp and murky afternoon tomorrow afternoon with highs of 11 Celsius. It's a very similar picture for Thursday, Friday and into Saturday. The breeze being a big feature. By Christmas Eve on Sunday, things beginning to just calm down a little bit. And for Christmas Day, looking cooler and more settled. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
OK, well, that's all from me today, but there's much more on the BBC News app, including full details around what railway stations are set to close ahead of the big Christmas getaway and how services will be affected over the festive period. Riz will be here at 6:30 tonight, so until then, have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.